consciousness to us humans seems to be everything that there is. However, there could be higher order emergent properties of intelligence in our universe. In particular, there are 4 higher order emergents beyond the typical human consciousness according to the concept of Sentience Quotient. Today, we're going to talk about the third emergent of intelligence known as Communality. If you haven't seen the previous videos on this topic, check them out first. The link is in the description below. But if you have already seen those, then let's dive right in. Communality is the next highest emergent property of intelligence that may exist in the universe. Just as consciousness is an emergent of neural or brain sentience, perhaps some broader mode of thinking, say communalness, is an emergent of electronic sentience. According to astronomer Robert Jastrow and others, silicon-based computer brains may represent the next and the ultimate stage in human evolution. This is because our current superconducting electronic gates weigh about 10 to the negative 12 kg and can process information at rates of about 10 to the 11 bits per second. This gives them an SQ value of plus 23, which is 10 orders of magnitude higher than the basic human consciousness. The lowest SQ value needed for the emergence of communality in sentient beings, though, may require a minimum of 10 to the 20 bits per second kilogram of data processing according to this scheme. In other words, any being in the universe possessing communality must be close to an SQ value of 20, similar to how humans are close to an SQ value of 10 possessing consciousness, or how plants and trees are close to an SQ value of 0 possessing simple reactivity. Now, if this is the case, then it may help explain why we non-communal humans have such great difficulty comprehending the intricate workings of the societies, governments, and economies we create and require the continual and increased assistance of computers to juggle the thousands of variables needed for successful management and planning. So, relating this level of data processing and SQ level to something that our minds can readily comprehend, beings at the level of communality would be able to read about 8,000 books per second. So how smart does this make these beings compared to beings at lower levels of intellectual emergence like us humans? Well, given a total of roughly 130 million books in the world, it would take just a little over 4.5 hours for a being at the communality level to read and comprehend all the written material in the entire world. Of course, this should not come as a surprise since quantum computers of today are more or less capable of exactly these kinds of feats. Now, if a being at that level of intelligence is to come across beings like us, it is very obvious that the communication gap between a conscious being and a communal being would be almost identical to the gap between a conscious being and a reactive being. Perhaps this is why a lot of scientists are seriously concerned about artificial intelligence or AI taking over in the near future if we humans are not careful with our rapidly growing technologies. The basic type of sentience that possesses the third emergent property of intelligence is known as communal sentience under the Sentience Quotient model. While the individual members of a genetically sentient group like insects are totally unconscious, and brain sentient humans are only conscious of themselves but not of their society, communal sentient individuals will have a well-developed and very real sense of their community as well as of themselves. But this new level of awareness does not mean the loss of individuality, as it encompasses all the lower levels of awareness below it as well. Perhaps using some kind of electronic telepathy or psychological synchronization, beings at this level of awareness would be able to sense what is good for their society, similar to how a human is able to sense hunger on an empty stomach, or an irresistible itch to scratch the body when it itches. This means that these beings will be capable of feeling personal anguish at offenses against their community and maybe even view their community as a real, physical extension of their own bodies. Of course, we humans cannot even begin to comprehend this level of awareness, just like an insect can barely comprehend our sense of individuality and awareness. Nonetheless, the idea that alien beings may exist who can sense the pulse, the hunger, and the mood of their community as easily as we can of our physical bodies is a mysterious and alluring possibility. So, what would happen if we came into contact with aliens at the communality level? Well, to them, humanity would appear partially conscious at best. Our lack of empathy with others in our community and our continual states of war would seem pitiful and barbaric. But similar to how we can train a dog to perform certain useful tasks for purposes incomprehensible to the dog itself, perhaps communal aliens could teach us a few sophisticated tricks to enable us to live together in harmony, although we would have no hope of understanding them at all. But of course, trying to understand a mentality far superior to ours is difficult to say the least. All we can do is hope that these beings are benevolent and will have our best interest in mind as well as their own if we are to ever encounter them. But as smart as these beings may be, somewhere in the universe may lurk beings almost incomprehensible to us, who may think by manipulating atomic energy levels and are mentally as far beyond the communality level as this level is beyond the capabilities of the Venus flytrap. But that is a discussion for another time. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Next time, we will be discussing the next highest order emergent of intelligence. What could that be like? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hit like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, we'll see you in the next one.